You looked around the expansive park and a spacious recreation center in the next town over and noticed a bouncy castle. Miranda had a bit of reputation for not caring if she acted mature like other teens sometimes did. It made a certain amount of sense that her party would match that. You thought Miranda was sweet. You thought Miranda was weird. You didn't have any opinion of Miranda yet. You wanted to get to know Miranda better. No, I'm gonna say I thought Miranda was sweet. You had always gotten the vibe that she was nice, and inviting her to her party proved it. You liked that she wasn't obsessed with proving she was grown up. Maybe hang out today would be fun. See, I like that. I like that. You hadn't had a choice in coming here today. Your moms insisted on it after you got the invitation, and as did Cove's mom and dad. So both you and he were driven over to the next town with presents in tow. All the parents had been pretty firm about going to a birthday if you had been invited. You agreed it was best to attend. You wondered if it was an adult thing. You were happy to be there. You wished you were somewhere else. You felt out of place. You were willing to give it a chance. No, I'm really happy to be there. You couldn't wait for the party to get started. There were so many things at birthday parties, and you were glad Miranda had wanted you to come. Cove made a small noise, which caught your attention. He looked around, scanning the area. He fidgeted with his gift in hand. Any idea what we're supposed to do with these? You looked at your own present, and then towards the seating area. There was a table filled with snacks and drinks, supplies for various party games. Past all that, you spotted one table in the back that seemed to have a truckload of gifts. You pointed it out to Cove. Let's drop the presents off over there. Cove nodded with a smile and turned to where you gestured. He saw it too. Cool. You and Cove began to walk over to the present table, flattening the well-trimmed grass beneath your feet. You walked past groups of people, classmates in semicircles, broken up into the usual friends groups, chatted away. You or maybe Cove received the occasional greeting or friendly nod. However, as you passed by even more people that you had never seen before, you became aware that there were more strangers here than not. It was more crowded than you expected. Miranda Eckert, the quiet girl, was hosting the most populated birthday party you had ever been to in a long time. You looked at the new faces and thought you saw something of Miranda in them. Cousins, nieces, or nephews, maybe. Parties could be a big deal in her family. The both of you reached the table. You set your gift down in an empty space, brushing some confetti aside, and Cove placed his gently next to it. He looked at the present thoughtfully. Hey, what did you get her? Before he had a chance to answer, Cove opened his mouth again and tapped his gift. I found this sparkly backpack. I figured she could use it for school or a trip or something. Aw, that's really sweet, Cove. Your moms had taken you out shopping the other day. You'd searched throughout the store and ultimately, you picked out a stuffed animal, you grabbed a necklace and bracelet set, you found a lighthearted adventure book, you chose a yarn craft kit that made a toy. Oh, that's cool. You let your moms pick. Your moms didn't appreciate what you had picked and chose something else. I love that answer. Oh, that's kind of funny. But if I were to pick, I'd pick something arts and crafty. I like arts and crafty things, so maybe she would like those too. You chose a yarn craft kit that made a toy. The colorful picture on the box appealed to you. It showed off the different variations you could make with the kit, along with the bolded messages of easy and 43 pieces included. Hopefully the kit was as cool as it looked. You described it to Cove briefly, and he had no objections. Not a bad idea. He brushed his hands against the sides of his pants. I really hope Miranda likes her gifts, but I think we both did good. With that, he gave you a sunny grin. You touched the gift one more time and then stepped away. Without the direction of needing to put stuff away, the two of you weren't sure what to do next. You felt a little awkward, and Cove shrunk in on himself as he looked around. There were more guests heading to the present table, so you turned away and wandered over to a nearby tree where you wouldn't be in the way. From there, you both inspected the area and planned the next step. You were glad that Cove had been invited too. At least you had his company in this unfamiliar place. You watched him, and he gave you a nervous grin. It reassured you a little, and you smiled back. What next? Cove did not appreciate being put on the spot. He was just as unsure as you were. Birthday party stuff? It didn't seem to be time for cake, what with people still arriving. Nothing else seemed to be organizing it either. He noticed that himself and tried again. We could find Miranda. That was an idea. It made sense to greet the birthday girl. Okay, we could say hello. Wish her happy birthday. Ask her what she wants people to do.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. With that point, it was decided. The Miranda hunt had begun. You wandered around. Anytime you saw someone with Miranda's hair color, you got a little closer. But more than once, it turned out not to actually be her. Hey, look, Finally, he pointed over to the real Miranda. She smiled slightly when you both approached, but ducked her head. She seemed a little overwhelmed with being the center of attention today. Hi, Cove. Hi, Vaughn. Oh, I love her. I love her unicorn outfit, and I love her purple eyes. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Thanks. I'm really glad you could come. You all stood awkwardly. Miranda did seem genuinely happy, but there was still a distance between you. This is a great-looking party. Thank you. Is there something we need to do, or should we just hang out? Oh, well, you can talk to people.
If you want. There are games that are going to start soon.
Okay, there we go. Do I have my... Hold on, let me just make sure. Yeah, voice is straight up. Is up. Just making sure. And the bounce house should open later, if you feel like jumping. Then after that, it's cake and present time. We'll have ice cream too. Aren't we kind of too old to be in a bounce house? Middle school kids? That's like borderline, I guess. I feel like bounce houses are normally built, like physically built for younger than middle school, but I could be wrong. After that is when people will start going home. I hope that's okay with you guys. Cove nodded. He seemed a little more confident about the situation now. Thanks for letting us know. You grinned at her and she nodded back. Miranda waited there, and you became hyper-aware of the silence forming. You heard a shout for a Randy, and Miranda brightened up, a total 180 with how stiff she had been with you.
I gotta talk to some people. Goodbye.
Thank you, Miranda. The birthday girl ran off to her friend, leaving you and Cove with at least a little more idea of what to expect. You both glanced at each other wordlessly. All that was left now was finding something to fill time until the activities began. You tried to chat with people around, you just talked with Cove, you found a quiet spot to sit, you just stood around where you are. I love how, of the 4 choices, only one is the social choice, and the other 3 are varying degrees of, just talking to Cove, finding a quiet place to sit, just stand around where you are. So it's... there's gotta be, I feel like it's a little imbalanced. I feel like there should be at least one other social choice, and not one social choice and then 3 other quiet, not as social choice. They could have balanced that a little bit better. I tried to chat with people around. Cove kept at your side as you socialized. It was a lot of introductions and small talk, but you weren't surprised. You ran into some classmates and ended up talking about a rumor that there would be a new art teacher in the fall. Ooh, exciting. Cove didn't buy the wildest of rumors about her. That she was an international art thief who was hiding out from the law. You wondered how a story like that even got started. I don't know, there might be some truth to it. One of your classmates laughed and said she'd heard it from someone who'd been in summer school and happened to see a truck with some paintings wrapped in the back. She didn't understand the stretch either. Suddenly, a loud voice boomed over the crowd. The constant buzz of conversation dropped as one of the adults, maybe Miranda's dad, asked the kids to gather around because it was game time. Oh, I love games! I wonder what's going to happen. Maybe it's going to be a trivia game, Cove. You should stick around this time if we're going to do a trivia game. You shrugged. You scanned the air to make guesses. You made a joke about something that wasn't going to happen. Yeah, I'll make a joke. We're going to play high-stakes poker. It's obvious. Obvious, huh? Look at this crowd. Most of the guests were teenagers around your age, but there were also quite a few adults and some younger kids. Cove nodded sagely at a group of little kids. Yeah, these are high rollers. Yay! A sense of humor! We really need to work on Cove's sense of humor, because a good sense of humor is very attractive. Like, that's almost a must. That's almost a must for, someone that I would be attracted to, is having some semblance of a sense of humor. I'm not saying you need to be like the life of the party, or that you need to be able to like crack a joke at any given moment. I don't need that at all. But just like having the ability to have a sense of humor, or being able to find the humor in life in general, that's like necessary, I think, when it comes to someone that I would date. The adult announced that the children under 10 had the first turn on the bounce house. For everyone else, it was time to play Pin the Tail on the Donkey. Cove raised his eyebrows. He was surprised for sure. You were excited. You thought it was kind of silly. You were a little weirded out. You were fine with the game. You didn't know how this would go. I mean, somebody might call Pin the Tail on the Donkey babyish for middle schoolers, but I mean, Look, like if I'm going to somebody's birthday party, if you're a guest at somebody's birthday party, try to be at least, at least pretend to be excited for the things that, the host is trying to do for fun for the guests. I mean, again, it's just my Asian or Filipino hospitality within me is that like this is the birthday celebrant's day, and don't like spoil anything by being weirded out by the game, or certainly don't verbally say anything if you think a game is lame or weird. Just you're a guest. You are a guest, and this is this host's birthday party. So I think I would be legitimately excited to play Pin the Tail on the Donkey. I'd still play Pin the Tail on the Donkey today. There's nothing wrong. It's a totally legit game. I'm as excited. Pin the Tail on the Donkey sound like fun. Maybe you could even win. You casually stepped up to join the line. The donkey in question was a cartoony poster, with his big eyes that looked more like ping pong balls. Oh, that's so cute. It was positioned a few feet above the ground on the tree trunk. The teen who arrived first was blindfolded and then spun around. He was nudged to the side and away from the other kids so he wouldn't stick someone with a tail instead. Unfortunately for him, he placed the tail on the donkey's head like some kind of bizarre earring. He wouldn't be winning that far from the target. His next opponent did far better by landing it on the donkey's back. The spectators clapped politely and the line moved up. More teens tried their hand at it, some got closer than others, but none had gotten it perfectly yet. Soon it was Cove's turn. He was blindfolded and spun just like the others. At this point it was a close match and everyone was watching with bated breath. Cove approached the donkey and stuck the tail on without any hesitation. Cove stood back and removed his blindfold, cheering when he saw how close he was. He turned his head over his shoulder and grinned at you. Awesome job, Cove. Good stuff. Your turn. You shook your head and stepped out of line. Why would I shake my... I spent all this time waiting in line just to step out of it. Nope. I'm taking my turn. With a blindfold on, the bright park became utterly dark. As you were spun around, the sounds around you seemed to get louder. At least you could tell the direction of the bounce house from the shrieks at the younger children. You stopped spinning and stepped forward, tail in hand. It was time to give it a stab. You placed it directly in front of you. You placed it to the right. You placed it to the left. You reached and placed it up. You bent and placed it downward. I'm left-handed, so I'll say place it to the left. Normally when I play Pin the Tail on the Donkey, the butt of the donkey, the way I've always seen it played, is on the left, so I'll place it to the left. You press the tail into the target and step back. You took your blindfold off to check your results. There was some clapping from the audience. The tail wasn't too far off. Behind you there was a particularly enthusiastic ooh, and a few people mentioned how close you got. Lefties for the win! You smiled and looked back at Cove. He seemed amused. His tail wasn't off by much either, and you couldn't tell which of you was winning. They were just too near by each other. A few more kids took their turns. One girl managed to somehow pin the tail on the opposite side of the tree. You were pretty sure it had been on purpose. With the line empty, the game was finally over. The adult running things started to inspect the donkey. At this point, the sign was more tails than donkey. In the end, Cove was announced the winner with lots of smiles and applause. All right, see, Cove? Even if you thought this was lame, at least you won. He grinned and seemed pretty proud of himself. He was handed a fistful of candy from the man in charge. Cove needed both his hands to accept it all. Thanks. All right, we got quite a haul. Some fat loots here. He tucked the candy to his pockets. It filled more than one. You congratulated Cove. You were disappointed you didn't win. You were really impressed with his win. You shrugged the game off. You teased Cove. You looked cute. I'm gonna say you looked cute. Really? Wait, what? A blush started on his cheeks and you giggled. Eventually he chuckled along with you, looking pleased enough. You asked if he'd be willing to share your prize. I'm not gonna ask. I mean, I would want some of his prize. I'm not gonna ask. Again, that's like Asian politeness there, I guess. Asian manners. You don't really ask for those things. You didn't ask. It was his and you didn't need any. There would be the other treats. What is that supposed to mean? There would be other treats later. I don't think that's what the writers intended for that. Ugh. Not in middle school. Get that out of your head. Not in middle school. There would be other treats later. An older teen walked up, tall enough to tower over you in Cove. You felt a little intimidated by a stern-faced teenager until she started to speak. Her voice was low, but friendlier than her tough frown would suggest. Hi, I'm handing out party favors. Do you want one? She showed you party hats. She insisted they were the key to a true partying mood. She had two options, either a colorful headband and two tiny party hats arranged almost like ears, or a tiara with a star on it. They were both very festive.
It's okay.
No thanks. You knew the teen hadn't actually glared at him. Her default facial expression just seemed grim. You wanted one with the headbands, you picked the crown. You didn't want one. I'll take the one with the headbands. Wait, it's like
It's okay.
a colorful headband with two tiny party hats arranged almost like ears. Oh, I'll take the headband. You pointed to a blue hat. You pointed to a pink hat. You pointed to a purple hat. You pointed to a green hat. I love purple. But as in middle school, my favorite color was more towards blue and orange. If it was high school, definitely orange. If it was college, purple. But when I was in middle school, blue. The teenager handed you the hat with a surprising amount of gusto, given her expression never changed. I like the writing for this character. Such a small, minor character, but still great writing. She gave you a serious thumbs up for taking it. Then you encouraged Cove to pick one. You should pick one, Cove. I'm trying to encourage, not shove or force. I'm not trying to force him or shove him, just kind of nudging him out of his comfort zone. Just a little bit. Then you encouraged Cove to pick one. You held a pink headband hat in one hand and a crown in the other. You tried to imagine what they'd look like on Cove. You really should try it. It'd be great. Cove looked back at the hats and then at you. With a sigh, he grabbed a hold of one. The teen with the hats clapped as much as she could with all the hats in their hands. The unknown teenager nodded approvingly at you both and went to pass out hats to more people. You put the party hat on your head with a smile and it fit well. It was surprisingly comfortable. It really completes your look. When did you get so fashionable? I'm a gay boy, Cove. I'm a gay boy. It's apparently supposed to be inherent. Apparently. He smirked and you just adjusted your new accessory. I'm a party animal now. It does look very good on me, thanks. I don't know why I'm doing this. Nah, I'm a party animal now.
Oh?
Really? Of course. Cove nodded with a thoughtful look on his face. If the party spirit is contained in party hats, does that mean they're haunted? He snorted at the suggestion. You considered the hat on your head. It didn't seem haunted, but maybe that was what it wanted you to think. Cove finally put his hat on. He was nervous about it, his face uncertain. If I was being completely honest, I would have preferred him with the headband one and not the tiara one. But if that's what Cove wants, then that's what Cove wants. I'm just thinking that I'm looking at him like, I don't know. I would if I were to pick one for him, I would have picked the headband one. But pick whatever you believe is best for you, Cove.
That's,
I don't know about this. I feel kind of silly. Does it look weird? You look great. I'm not gonna lie to him. No, not perfect. It looks silly. You just giggled. You look great, Cove. It's completely perfect. It looks silly. You just giggled. You shrugged.
That's,
I feel kind of silly. Does it look weird?
That's,
I feel kind of silly. Does it look weird? You shrugged. You just giggled. You look great, Cove. It's completely perfect. You shook your head no. You shrugged. You just giggled. I'm just gonna giggle. I'm just gonna laugh at it. You just giggled. Hey, what's that for? After that, the people in charge quickly set up the next game. Teenagers milled about until they were told to find partners. You tried to listen to the rules, straining your ears to listen to the adults, announcing that what you were supposed to do. It was a simple game. One person in a pair would throw candy, while the other had to catch it in their mouth. If they caught it, the pair would move on to the next round, where everyone would take a step back and the former catcher would become the thrower. I've played a game like that. The game would continue, the players getting further and further until one set of partners were the only ones left standing, or everyone lost in a round. About half of the guests were already found partners. They moved fast. You notice Cove had his eyes on you. Could we be partners? Neither of you are all that familiar with anyone else here. It'd be the safe choice to pair up. I don't want to play. No, I want to play. You agreed to be Cove's partner. Let's do it, partner. Cool. He beamed and you started wondering about your respective candy catching capabilities. 2 rows of players facing each other formed. Cove tilted his head towards them and you started to head over. You both lined up directly in front of each other. It took a while to pass out the candy. You were handed a small bag of gummies that smelled strongly fruity. Oh, I love gummy bears! They're some of my favorites. You noticed Cove took it upon himself to do a taste test of the red one across from you. They're not bad. You should have waited. You tried one for yourself. What did it taste like? Raspberry or cherry. It's red, so... Strawberry? Maybe. Pomegranate? I like pomegranate. It was a mystery. Maybe you'd get a red one later. And then it was time to begin. Cove's row was set to throw first. He smiled nervously, his eyes wide with seriousness. You grinned and Cove's smile looked more genuine and less filled with tenseness. The game was on. The adult in charge shouted for the throwers to go. You and Cove were only a couple feet away from each other. With Cove's careful toss, you caught the candy easily. Like you, most of the other players moved on to the next round. There were few gaps in the rows as everyone took a step back. The round was harder with pairs further apart, but not overly so. It could be done if both partners tried. You did your best as you tossed it. You had fun with it, but still tried. You threw the candy without care. You made sure it missed. I did my best as you tossed it. You carefully plucked the gummy from the bag and felt the weight. You shifted in your hand a couple times for practice and then told Cove you were ready. Yeah, that totally is something I would do. You went for an underhand throw, careful to aim for Cove's mouth. The blue candy arced and landed perfectly in Cove's mouth. He chewed it twice and then smiled widely. You could tell Cove was genuinely pleased to make it through another round. You were happy as well. The next round began and you took another step back. Cove was even further away now, but he made an okay sign. He was in this to win it. Around you, the once packed rows of players had thinned out some. You wondered how many rounds everyone had left in them. Cove swung his arm and made eye contact with you. You nodded and the green candy flew towards you. You tried your best to catch it. You casually tried to catch it. You refused to have a green candy in your mouth. Oh, I mean, I have to admit, like, if it's green apple... No, I mean, green apple when I was middle school, it wasn't my favorite. I preferred lime. If it was going to be green, I preferred lime, but you tried your best to catch it. Especially because Cove is in it to win it. He's my partner. I have to be in it to win it then. You followed the arc of the candy and opened your mouth wide. It had a slight spin on it and you tilted your head to the left to compensate. You bit down on the candy, grinning with your victorious catch. It tasted sweet and vaguely like a Slurpee. Yeah, Vaughn! Cove was thrilled. I'm really glad that Cove is like having fun, like legitimately having fun. This is really rare for me to see, so it's great. He was entirely invested in the game at this point. You and Cove were still in the game. You knew this was the final round. Only a few other pairs were still left. Cove was determined to win. You could see it in the clench of his jaw, the careful way he watched you. You were charmed by his attitude. You equally wanted to win. You didn't want to let him down. You thought this was kind of funny. You felt nervous under pressure. Yeah, I'm charmed by that. I'm really charmed. Like this is like kind of, would make me really attracted to him. The fact that he's actually like having fun and smiling and enjoying life. Like that is very, very attractive to me. So I would say I'd be charmed by his attitude. You liked having a partner that was so into the game. His determination sparked something in you. Admiration? An answering desire to win? You weren't sure. Cove gave you a firm grin and you prepared to throw. Your fingers grabbed an orange gummy from the bag. Yeah, orange. It felt solid in your grasp, even if your hand was starting to get sticky from touching all the sugary sweets. Cove leaned his face towards you and bent his knees, ready to catch. The time came, you looked at the candy, and then Cove. You tried your best. You threw it casually. You messed up your throw on purpose. No, I'm going to try my best. You heard him make a small squeak and Cove blinked as the orange candy bounced off his face. Hugh laughed. Cove's expression was just too priceless. But you were both out of the game, so you walked over the crowd of other people who lost. That's fine. The game wrapped up and you clapped for the winning pair. 2 tiny girls around your age. They were handed more candy as a prize and everyone dispersed from there. That is fun. With the candy toss over, you were going to need something else to do. You didn't have to wait long. You heard someone in the crowd shout that the bounce house was officially open for the older kids. You and Cove shared a look. Cove smiled and you knew he wanted in. You both ran over to the bouncy castle and kicked your shoes off. You crawled into the inflated castle with Cove hot on your heels. There were a couple other teens inside already. You started to get a feel for bouncing. Cove hopped from the middle to the side and back. Just after you landed from a particularly high jump, someone else snuck in. It was the birthday girl herself. Hi, Miranda. Hello. Hi, birthday girl. You waved. You glanced her way. Hi, birthday girl. Miranda looked happy. She waved both her hands at you with a megawatt grin. I hope you're having fun. She hopped around with her hands in front of her like a kangaroo. It was a surprisingly effective way to clear distance in the bounce house. She then jumped high, kicking both her legs out to the side and touched the tips of her toes with her fingers. Wow! Miranda hadn't run out of tricks yet. She jumped a couple more times, gaining height before doing a backflip and tucking into a ball. Okay, now that's impressive. She managed to land on her feet, but didn't stick the landing. She tumbled back and fell on her butt. Cove clapped and Miranda inclined her head, almost like a bow. She was back to jumping in no time. You're so good at this. She bounced close enough to the two of you to talk without shouting across the way. Cove's bouncing slowed down to accommodate their conversation.
My family gets this every year. And we have a trampoline in the backyard.
You're so lucky, Miranda. That's really cool. I want to do flips too. You nodded along the conversation. You clapped for her stunts. That's really cool. Miranda giggled a bit, then her eyes sparkled. Hey, I can launch someone if you want. If I jump in front of you, then your bounce will go higher. Okay, launch me. Not me. I'd rather just watch. You remained silent. No, launch me. Sure. Miranda leapt over to you, and her excitement clear on her face. Cove watched with interest. She explained more clearly how this was supposed to work. You got ready to bounce on her cue. 3, 2, 1. The moment she came down, you jumped high. The force of her, just as she had said, helped launch you up. The air rushed past your face, and you were coming back down. Your feet hit the bounce hard enough to help launch Miranda up a little as well. She giggled some more, and the two of you took turns bouncing each other up. Cove clapped or offered suggestions, but it was becoming clear that he wanted a turn too. Miranda invited him to join and tried to synchronize their bounces to launch Cove up super high. The first time resulted in everyone crashing down in a pile of laughs. By the fifth attempt, Cove managed to catch some serious airtime. Woo! This is so great that Cove is in his element. You all had fun bouncing around, you twirled, Miranda did stunts, Cove futilely tried to touch the highest tip of the castle ceiling. You and Cove chatted to Miranda more than you had ever had at school. She truly was the queen of this bouncy castle. Whenever someone did something cool, everyone would cheer. If you fell, the others would help you up. See, that's how it should be. Eventually, more people wanted to take turns in the bounce house, so you and Cove left. As you slipped in your shoes, you saw Miranda get drawn into conversation with a group of adults. She would be talking to them for a while. You and Cove decided to take a break and hydrate. You went to the party table and grabbed some ice water. Cove handed you a party noisemaker he'd pick up from the same table. He blew on his, and it made a funny sound when it unrolled. Cove downed his drink in a couple gulps. He had gotten pretty into bouncing after all. You were still sipping on the water when Cove blew on his noisemaker again. Then again and again. That is so cute. He's really seeming to be a lot more, outgoing now. It was almost a tune. You don't recognize any particular melody, but a noisemaker also isn't an instrument. The noise cut through the hum of the other party guests, loud and noticeable. You asked Cove to stop. He started blowing on your noisemaker too. You blew your noisemaker back at Cove. You were amused by Cove's antics. I'm gonna be amused. You laughed, and Cove started blowing it more towards you. He leaned in so that the tip of the unfurled paper nearly bopped your nose. You stepped back and shook your head fondly. You blew your noisemaker back at Cove. You told him to cut it out. You jokingly tried to get away. I'm gonna blow my noisemaker back at Cove. You blew hard enough to unfurl the paper completely straight. It jutted towards Cove, almost tapping his nose. It was a game now. Both of you tried to land the hit on the other. Cove managed to get your chin while you scored right in between his eyes.
Oh, great. You people again.
Oh, great. You again. I know who this is. Mr. Sourpuss. Someone vaguely familiar shouted, and you snapped your head to the side. Cove's noisemaker dropped from his mouth. The speaker stepped up, and there was no doubt. It was Jeremy, that mean boy you met at the start of the summer. You groaned at the sight of him. Oh, hey, it's the bowl cut kid. You felt very uncomfortable and didn't know what to do.